It's been 2.5 weeks since Israel and the US attacked Iran, throwing the region into chaos. In Iran, strikes have killed nearly 1,500 people and displaced more than 3 million. Gulf nations hosting US assets have also come under Iranian attack, but perhaps nowhere has the conflict spilled over more than Lebanon. Dragged into the fight after Iran-backed Hezbollah attacked Israel following the assassination of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei. In the past few hours, Israeli forces have bombed Beirut's southern suburbs. The area is home to roughly 500,000 people and has endured Israeli airstrikes for 2 weeks now. Israel has also issued a forced displacement order for the families living there. And an airstrike has hit a building in the city of Aramoun, just south of the Lebanese capital. At least one person has been injured. The attack comes days after Israeli strikes there killed people and injured a child. Well, the air attacks follow Israel's announcement on Monday that it was moving troops into southern Lebanon. The army says it's targeting Hezbollah strongholds there. International observers warn a significant Israeli ground offensive would have devastating humanitarian consequences. Strikes across Lebanon have already killed nearly 900 people and displaced over 1 million. We're covering all the developments from Tehran, Amman and Doha. But first, let's head to Beirut to speak to our correspondent, Heidi Pett. Heidi, so just bring us up to date with all the latest Israeli attacks and what's been happening in Lebanon.
So overnight, we saw 2 large Israeli airstrikes targeting Beirut's southern suburbs within 10 minutes of each other. They hit the area collectively known as the Dahia, which has been subject to a number of Israeli airstrikes over the last 2 weeks. It is the subject of one of these mass forced evacuation orders that's been issued by the Israeli military, which has led to more than 1 million people being displaced across the country. We've also seen strikes in the Bekaa Valley, but once again, the concentration of Israeli air and ground attacks has been in the south of Lebanon, mostly concentrated in a couple of villages where they've been attempting to come in and take control of strategic areas or high ground, especially in the town of Hiam, which is a hilltop town. The Israelis have been around the edges of that and trying to enter and take full control for several days now. And in the last couple of hours, Hezbollah says that they have targeted Israeli troops inside the town with rocket fire. They were located in between the detention centre and the stadium there. So that lets us know that, clashes are ongoing. But there is clearly an Israeli presence quite deep into the town of Hiam at the moment. Now, in Taiba, another area where there's been clashes, Hezbollah said that it hit 2 Israeli tanks within 15 minutes of each other, and they're claiming they scored a direct hit on one of them. Now, that's the 5th Israeli tank that Hezbollah says that it has targeted in the last 24 hours. In the context of this increased Israeli ground operation, we've seen it officially announced by Israel now. Of course, they have actually been operating on the ground here inside Lebanon for much of the past 2 weeks. And in fact, in violation of the previous ceasefire deal, Israel continued to have a presence inside Lebanon at 5 strategic points for the last 15 months or so. But what we are seeing now is a significant expansion of those activities. The Israeli army attempting to push into a number of locations. And of course, the whole of the south is subject to another mass forced displacement order all the way up to the Zahrani River, so 40 kilometres into Lebanese territory.
OK, Heidi Pett there for us in Beirut, bringing us up to date with the situation on the ground in Lebanon. Let's go to Rory Challens, who joins us live from Jordan's capital, Amman, with developments from Israel. So on the diplomatic front, Rory, there seems to be mixed messaging coming from the Israelis about the possibility of talks with Lebanon. What are you hearing on this front?
Yeah, it's not easy, Malene, charting a course through all these mixed signals. I'll do a little stock take. First of all, you've got the foreign minister, Gideon Saar, who, when asked about the prospect of talks on Sunday, said absolutely not. But then, on the flip side, you've got Benjamin Netanyahu appointing one of his chief fixers, a guy called Ron Dermer, to head up a new Lebanon brief, essentially. And he was dispatched, so we're being told, off to Saudi Arabia in recent days to go and do the groundwork for any future talks. And you've also got the president, Isaac Herzog, who responded very warmly indeed to the French offer of hosting those talks. He said, the talks are very important because it's about time we have an opportunity of moving forward with Lebanon. So that sounds positive. But no date has been set and terms have not been agreed. And you've got to offset all of that against what's happening on the ground with this Israeli military offensive, which is on the cusp of the biggest invasion of southern Lebanon since 2006. So I think perhaps the best way of framing the Israeli stance at the moment is that they're not averse to talks. They would like talks to happen at some point, but they have a military objective that they want to achieve first. The military chiefs are saying they are not going to stop that assault into Lebanon unless Hezbollah is disarmed, and they think they are the best placed ones to disarm Hezbollah. So, yes, talks possible in some point in the future, but there's an offensive to take care of first.
OK, thank you for that, Rory Challenge there for us in Amman. Meanwhile, in Iran, the unrelenting US and Israeli attacks have continued for yet another night. These were the scenes in Tehran, where efforts to rescue people trapped under rubble continued late into Monday. Airstrikes hit several parts of the capital throughout the day, including a residential area. Iran's health ministry says nearly 19,000 civilians have been injured since the US and Israel launched their first attacks on February the 28th. Well, Iran has kept up its retaliatory attacks on Israel. It's also been striking countries across the Middle East that host US troops or assets. In a new statement addressed to neighboring Arab countries, a spokesman for the Iranian army said Iran has a right to continue to defend itself.
We consider ourselves obligated to respond to the threats and repeated attacks carried out by the usurping Zionist entity and the United States, launched from military bases located on your territories, which often target innocent civilians. Nevertheless, we call upon you to exercise the utmost caution and vigilance. We advise you to stay as much as possible away from these bases and to avoid any locations where Zionist or American forces may be present, whether security or military sites.